As trading involves substantial risk of loss, and it's not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. Well, you know what? My Restream browser source, I don't think it's working. We'll see. Anyways, no big deal. Well, what am I doing? You know what? It's just been a long weekend, that's all. Okay, let's grab the links. So, you've decided... No, that's not what we wanted. There we go. So silly, here we go. Do you guys think Trump may announce another shutdown today? Why would he do that today? That doesn't make any sense. The 15th is when he does it. All right, you know what? My setup here is a little bit off. Do that. Okay. Okay, cool. So, you know what? It is my Ninja Trader is having problems. You know, I had all this time. To prepare for that and all this stuff, and I didn't, and I regret it. So now Ninja Trader's gonna crash, guys. We're only 2 minutes into the stream. Ninja Trader has crashed. That's sad. Well, it's time to put it out of its misery. Not responding. End task. Thank you. All sorts of interesting stuff happening this morning. I think we got plenty to talk about. Let's turn the squawk on. Okay. Now it's loading. That's better. That's much better. Now we're getting stuff. It takes it a little bit to load the e-mini for tick replay. It would probably be better that I don't have tick replay on for the ES. I just love it so much. Better. Okay. So, here we are. Let's take like the long-term view here. E-mini has come down, opened a little bit lower, but we're in a pretty critical area of resistance for the E-mini, and so you can see even though we had a really great week last week, they're gonna have trouble coming out of the middle of this range here, and then even to the top, right? So it could be heavy resistance. Same here in Treasuries, although Treasuries Friday, took a big dip, and I think that that's probably the end of that. And my long-term bias has changed negative. So there you can see we are just a little bit lower than we were. But ES is about equal. Okay. So my context for today is that we've had a long-term switch. So what I'm looking for is a really good selling opportunity, perhaps at 29 if we can get it. 28.5 would not be bad. It showed us something there. Right here, it's a little hard to tell.
Political editor tweet Jason Groves saying, Michael, just recapping a little bit of conflict in this Brexit situation, as Michael's saying earlier that the Irish border riddle can be solved with creativity and compromise on both sides. Meanwhile, EU chief Martin Selmayr saying nobody in Brussels is talking about a compromise, almost as if they don't quite agree.
Yeah. I don't know if they're ever going to figure that out. Well, what do we got here? 146.06. So up above the highs, we do have some. Yeah. So on the news schedule today, I guess I should mention we do have factory orders at 8 o'clock, but we don't really have a whole lot going. Later this week, services, bond auctions. Okay. So if it's bond auction week, we could see a little bit of selling. So what you tend to see is a little bit of selling going into the event and then buying after it. Statistically speaking, that's what we tend to see. Okay, they did tick up there pretty strongly, in fact. So this the trickiness with this one, I think, is that we are looking for a short, but who knows how much momentum you could get coming out of there, and so yeah, we want to take a short, but we don't want to stand in front of it. So that said, I think we could get some good opportunities. Where did I move it to? Over here. Now the other side of this is that I think that we're going to stay relatively rainbound today because there's no news and it's a Monday. So, oh dear, I have to re-enter my. Hold on a second. There we go. Yeah, it's being a little funky today. Again. Let's see what happens. New channel moderator tools are now live in chat. That's cool. Thank you, Twitch. And then do that. Perfect. Perfect. And just type a message in here just to see if this is working. It's not working. Well, oh yes, no, it does work. It does work. We're cool. So cool. I mean, that 29 is looking awfully tempting. Yeah.
So the main wire is now picking up on that tweet by the EU chief Salmaya saying the EU's not mulling binding assurances on the withdrawal deal. So in equity news, Expedia making an offer to buy Liberty Expedia in a stock swap deal.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that is pulling way too much. Even though it's been pulling there, I think there's a really good chance that that order doesn't get filled. Okay. Yeah, the 5-year ticked up there. Five-year ticked up. The 10-year doesn't seem to care. Oh, there's a little bit of a pull. Very, very little interest. And look at that downtick. We could take that too. Sure. They're just granted, we are trading off of very, very little information, but there does not appear to me to be a whole lot of interest in buying. Certainly not at 29. Certainly not at 29. Oh yeah, you know what? I should get rid of that. I mean, that's since December, so wrong. Just pointing out my nice little 12,000 that's showing up there. Okay. Well, I'm not. There is quite a bit there at 28.5, isn't there? Sorry, at 28. They did fill me at 29. Good deal. Good deal. Okay. Well, that turned out way better than I thought it would. I mean, there might be more in it, but I'm being very conservative today because it's a Monday. Might regret that, but I can't regret walking away with a little bit of money. The volume came down. I mean, we're talking about 1,000 contracts to swing it down that way. So that's why I think you've got to be a little cautious. It did tick up there, so I think that I did get the make the right choice. We could see some more trade into 27. I mean, yeah, there you go. Took it. I don't know if there's enough interest to push it beyond 27 at the moment, though. We might retrace it a little bit, or sit here for a really long time and then finally break 27 and move to the lows. Also, I want to congratulate Wrong on coming in on time today. Huh? Huh? When was it? Friday? He missed all the fun. All the fun.
In equity news, Tesla signed a pact to buy Maxwell Technologies for $4.75 a share.
And now what I think has happened is he maybe caught the only fund that we're going to get today. Well, they are buying it at 27. They're taking profits at least at 27. So that's interesting.
It's Jennifer Ranking now. Tweet: EU considered putting the backstop assurances into a legally binding document in December, but didn't do so for two reasons. One, leaders didn't think it would help May's chances, and two, the EU thinks Council conclusions have legal weight, not just a sheet of paper, as of course we heard Merkel cite in December.
Well, there they go. Guess they're gonna go for it. Cool. It's just kind of, isn't it kind of typical that like the time that you take the profit, you could have gotten the full thing out of it. But I think that taking it, I had one there, and then I took one off there and one off there. Right? I could have taken it one off there and one off there, so that would have been 3-4 more ticks. It would have been good, but you don't know if it's really going to do that or not, you know? I guess the one thing that we could have said is that we were preferring a short. Or we're saying we would like an opportunity to go short. We did get it. We took the quick profit. I don't know. Happens. Happens. I'm just kind of checking up on the news here. This person on my Procter & Gamble video said that their deodorant is the only deodorant that works for them, and that they're willing to just smell like a barn animal to try and punish them. That's funny. Oh, hey, they're doing a journal contest. Jigsaw is sponsoring the February journal contest over at Futures.io. The rules are pretty simple. Announce your participation on the thread there, and then journal your trading. At the end of the month, the 3 people with the most votes get licenses and Amazon vouchers worth up to $600. Okay. And then he talks about the next group therapy session. So let's see what the rules are, what the prizes are. Contest begins February 1st, ends February 28th. Author of the journal, enter it, blah, 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 blah. Pretty standard. Oh, very, very nice. In addition, for elite members, Journalytics or Jigsaw Trading is offering a $40 discount off any Jigsaw Trading Journalytics product using this special link. That's a good deal. All participants of the Journal Challenge can request a free 30-day trial of Journalytics. Make your request here in the thread so the Journalytics can reach out to you. Okay. You should, if you guys don't have, Wrong says he traded 2 days in the last week. You know, there was really good trading last week, but I would not say that it was easy trading. There was a lot of like, well, kind of like today, you know, just really, really slow, only going because they just really don't want to buy it, you know. But there doesn't look to me like there's a strong desire among the traders to buy it at the moment. I'm still looking for what is the prize. Okay. There will be 3 prizes awarded based on the highest number of things. First place is a $200 Amazon gift card, plus a 1-year subscription of Journalytics. Second place is a $150 gift card, and third place is a $100 gift card. Okay, well, I don't have any interest in that, so I don't think I'll do it. But I think that we should have somebody from here do it. Yes. I think you guys should all enter into that contest. You don't have Journalytics. So like if you don't use Jigsaw, you and you can connect Journalytics to your platform. I believe that it connects to almost everything. You should do that contest. Get the free subscription to it and do it. Okay, so there was an iceberg there at 26, but they just took it all at once. So this could continue. This could continue. So this is a situation. Where's my pen? Where's my pen? Okay. Highlighter. Yes. Okay, so right here. This 3,000 that's being offered at 26 even. That's really strong on a downtick for a new low. The problem is that we have been very quiet and range bound. And so that can often be somebody that really wants out and is trying to create sell pressure so that they can get out at 25.5. And there you can see, sure enough, there is an iceberg at 25.5. But there's been good trend on this move down. There has been good trend on this move down. And the E-mini is not moving at all. So it's all treasuries. It's just all treasuries on their own. So it does look like there are sellers for sure. But that one in particular, if I had kept it, based on the context, I don't think that I should have kept it. But, you don't always do things the right way. If I had kept it, I would definitely be taking it off at 25.5. I don't think the reverse, that's strong pressure. So if they keep going through here, we could go all the way down to 23 and even the 21.
An EU Salmaire says UK lawmakers he met on Monday were inconclusive on whether there are any EU assurances that could win UK parliamentary support for a Brexit deal.
Anyways, so in summary, that is a indication of continued strength in the that is a indication of strong momentum, but it is a little bit suspicious in this particular context. Just a little bit. It's a pretty strong down move, though. You can see people slowly filtering in, stumbling in after their Super Bowl parties yesterday. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl? I was I'm still boycotting the NFL. I don't want to call it a boycott, but I just, I used to say to myself, I should be interested in football because other people are interested.
Salmaire Hissan, the EU meeting with UK lawmakers on Monday, confirmed that the EU was right to start a no-deal preparation.
I said, other people are interested in football and I should be up on it, so that I can talk to people about it. And then, all this crazy stuff happened, and I was kind of like, you know what? I don't care. I'll just be a loner, I guess. Wouldn't necessarily call it like a boycott per se, but I just kind of decided that it was not culturally or significantly significant enough to want to bother. So I didn't watch it. I was actually doing some recording because we recorded that. I put out that video on Thursday, I think it was, and I just wasn't too happy with it. So I got some. Oh, look, there you go. There's a tick up at 26. You know what I'm telling you? That doesn't mean that we're not going to tick immediately back down to 25, but that does mean that that pressure that we were seeing there at 25.5 was not real. Sorry, it was definitely a trick of some sort. You could maybe get short here at 26. There's an iceberg there. See, they're ticking up through it. Let's see if they hold that 26. That was some real trickery there. Yeah, what is the yeah, let's see here. What is no, he doesn't have it. What? Oh. That was not I want to see what the special link was going to be, but it just signs you up for something. It doesn't take you to it. Let's just do jigsawtrading.com. How much is there? Automated trade journal. Overview. Try and buy options. That's cool that they have try options. Oh, I see. They have all sorts of stuff. It's all combined together. I don't know if you can just get just the journalytics or not. Independent. See, I think that because I got in early, I think they actually gave me the professional package. I don't actually know where it fits me in. It's kind of interesting to see things progress along, isn't it? Now, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's not really any real interest, I guess. I'd say that was a good swing down, though. And that was 1, 2, 3, 4,
none of the
5,
ideas
6
around
ticks.
the alternative arrangements for the backstop have stood up to the scrutiny.
The heck? Yes. Excuse me. Now I need to Man in Black, hi, and now I will make my popular channel. So you're gonna start a stream too? I mean, I would love to see that. I think I feel like I'm probably the only person out there stupid enough to trade live and let everybody watch me fail and laugh at me. But if somebody else was willing to do it, I think that would be great. And then then I would have somebody so that when I shut my stream down for the day, I could send the Twitch viewers over there. That would be nice. We can get like a little community thing going. A little, what are they? I don't know what they call them in Twitch, but like a little network going. Or I think they call them teams. Like you can be a team. You can have a team and a bunch of channels associated with that team or whatever. I think that would be great. You could send them here, but there's not really anything interesting happening, so probably wouldn't be the best use of your what's the word? Promotion resources. Well, they might make a new low. I should probably reset my DOM at least. There are some numbers down there, so maybe the 5-year does get all the way down there. There's kind of like still some single prints from a bit back that we want to get rid of.
Has not had any new ideas that would go beyond what has already been tested on the Irish backstop.
Dun dun dun. And this person, I'm just kind of reading through comments here. This one person on my Facebook feed posted that socialism is to tear down the moral fabric of a society and become the new religion. And I don't know why it seems to me that a lot of socialist ideas always seem to be opposed to what the current moral fabric of a society is. I don't know why that is. Obviously, people have their conspiracy theories about why that is, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. But there's definitely something to this idea that politics, and especially socialist politics, are becoming the new religion. And I find that a little disturbing. I mean, I don't think that it's a good thing. Because, like, how do I put this? The church and state are separated for a reason. It's not just that the church...
Italy here blocking
hold on.
the U28 statement on recognizing Guaido as Venezuela's interim president, according to diplomatic sources.
Like in the past, there was situations where there was a church-sanctioned state, and like you were expected to believe in a certain religion based on where you lived, and we all know that that was not so good. It didn't turn out so well, and so the freedom of religion thing is a very key concept in our country. But I also think
Ireland is being asked by Britain to do away with a solution agreed between Britain and EU and to replace it with wishful thinking.
But I also think that there's something about when you take the kind of behavior that is typically associated with religious fervor, and you start to apply it at a government level, that you start to get bad things happen. Let's just say it like that, right?
Ireland's company goes on to say that is a very unreasonable request to ask the Irish government to be flexible upon.
And so if socialism is the new religion, then if socialism was able to take a significant amount of government power in the United States, I don't think that it would turn out so hot. You know what I mean? And that kind of makes sense. I know that was a little bit of a kind of a fuzzy, amorphous rant there, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. So they did actually tick 25, but now they're ticking back up again. They're pulling back up again. This one's kind of hard because I don't know how far they're going to take that. Honestly, they came down 8 ticks on like practically nothing. You know? So like how far it's going to go and whatever. Ugh. It's like you really can't know. You really can't know what it's going to do. Lots of information in the programming, or action in the programming channel over the weekend. Anyways. There was actually buying there in the 5-year. The numbers that I'm reading out on my cumulative delta in the 5-year is like super weak. Yeah. Adrian says this is weak and that there's no pullbacks for me to sell. Yeah, I definitely don't want to be buying today, but I don't know. The thing is, there was no interest in buying it up there, right? But now we get down here. The interest in selling it's not that strong either. So, I don't know. I don't know what's. I said, now that they're down here, they're not exactly fighting over who's going to be the first person to take the next step, They don't want to do it. My nose is a little bit better, but now I've got more of a cough today. DiCaprio, 150 viewers. Oh, wow. Wow, thank you very much. No, I can see it. I can see 166 on the Twitch. Or not on the Twitch, they're all on the YouTube, I think. Yeah. Very much wow. But they might be bots. I mean, they're not talking. Right. This happened one time before, actually. And I didn't notice it at the time. Well, we're promoting channels, your broadcast gets to the top and then appears in recommendations for new viewers. Yes. Well, that definitely happens. Well, it's interesting. So like Twitch versus YouTube. Twitch is just not a very discoverable platform. Like, the people that are popular on Twitch, they usually get their viewers some other way first, like through Twitter or just word of mouth or whatever. Do you live by trading? No. So I have a regular job. So when I do this, you can see it like on a day like today when it's slow. And I traded 2 contracts, which, it just happened to be a little bit of luck that they gave me the prices that they did, that I was willing to take 2 contracts on it. So I traded 2 contracts and I made 4 ticks. So I made $62. You see that over here on the right? I will highlight it. There, right there. And I could have just as easily lost $62 in a day, right? And that might be the only trade that I take today. I mean, I don't know. I think that I'm probably going to keep a close eye on it and be really cautious about taking anything in the next 30 minutes before the E-mini opening up. And, you can't live on $50 a day. Not in America, at least. So I have a regular job. Oh, well, thank you, Man in Black, for the views, but I don't want to be necessarily involved in view count manipulation. So, I appreciate it, but no thanks. Yes. Where did you learn trading? So the resource that I would recommend, actually, I have a video elsewhere on my YouTube channel called How to Get Started in Futures. And I have a ton of links in there. And I tell you, like, all of the things that I kind of used to learn and the software and recommendations that I would make on that sort of a thing. But long story short, the place that I would recommend going first is No BS Day Trading. That was the book that kind of taught me the basic idea here. And then, of course, you just got to watch it for a long time and see, make up your own strategy, which takes a long time. But, like, if you really want to trade, I think that that's the way to go if you want to day trade and scalp. I don't know if this is going to pop back up. Yeah, does it say 305 now? Yeah, well, I swear there was, so the one day that it did this, it was like this, and nobody came in and said anything or anything like that, but it was just like 1,000 people for a short time came in and watched and then disappeared or whatever, and I was like, whoa. Now hopefully they stick around, because at 8 o'clock I have scheduled that other video I was talking about. And for you longtime watchers, you've probably heard it before, but it's a little rant about what the difference between the different futures products or instruments are. But like, I've got like fun pictures and everything to go along with it. So at 8 o'clock when it goes live, if we can get like everybody to give views and watch at least 60% of the video.
Numbers for Delta Airlines for January up 5.9% for the capacity. Load factor coming in at 79.7%, with traffic up 5.9%.
So yeah, you get a good number of viewers, and the viewers are watching at least 60% of the video, then that will boost the video like big time. So the more people that we can get to watch that video in about an hour, the better that video will do. And I think it's a fun video. I think you guys will enjoy it. It was the first video that I've done like this where I really put together a bunch of pictures and stuff to try and make it like a real production video. So, tried to get the memes in there and everything. So I'm a little excited to see how well it does. I hope that people are, well, I don't know if it's going to get a ton of views or anything like that, but it's kind of more like, I think that our community will really enjoy that video. So yeah, you can see they are being really slow still. The 5-year is absorbing a little bit down here, but they have not given any kind of appreciable reversal at all, have they? So, I don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to give a pullback or if they're just going to keep doing this all the way into the equities open. It was interesting that I was noting that they were actually buying in the 5-year. And then this big offer here at 14 and a quarter showed up and pushed us down. And all of that cumulative delta sold. That was kind of interesting. Hold my short from 20 getting out at 14. I mean, I do see some of our guys are getting out, like ER, apparently. I think he just got out at 15 there. So he caught a pretty good short. ER is actually going long at 14. If you can get filled there. I don't know. It did move down a lot though, didn't it? Yeah, and now it's going back down, so you get this big spike of viewers, and then it goes down. I don't know if they're real. I mean, they're not chatting, so there's no way for us to know if they're real people or if they're just robots. It's going down slowly, though, isn't it? It's kind of interesting. We'll see how many people. I mean, I don't know how he does that, and I didn't ask him to do. I just want to be clear. I did not ask him to do that. This guy just came into my channel and was like, "Hey, I'm going to give you a ton of viewers," and I'm like, "Okay, that would be cool." We'll see how many people, when they all go, how many people that actually picked up, like that saw it in the YouTube and said, "Oh, well, let me click on this channel and we'll see if it's worth watching." So we shall see. So there's a decent amount buying there at 25, actually. So maybe it could reverse here. I'm not interested in playing the long side, but let's see how far it goes. There's an uptick. See, and they're able to hold a reasonable bid at 24.5 as well. And 25 is not pulling away. But I think... I don't know. Okay, now it pulled away. So maybe it does tick up. Maybe. I think we probably would wait for the 5-year to flip first. Okay, well now it says 34. So if that's where it stays at, then we did pick up a few people. Because normally... Oh, nope. 21. 21. As soon as I say that, that's funny. Normally the peak for the day is about 24. So I wouldn't be surprised to not pick them up. I kind of feel like we have like a super niche audience, you know? And, you know, most of the people that are interested in this sort of a thing have already found it and are tuning in. You know what I mean? We've reached pretty good market saturation. Now, I do look through it, and we do actually have a lot of people come through every day. even though it might be like 22 for the full day, we do get a lot of people that come through. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, now it says it's not showing me the Twitch numbers. Now it's showing me 17. So that's about normal for this time of day. Nobody on Twitch, of course. We've had a few on Twitch today, but them kids, they're not interested in trading. What do you know about the algorithms in the markets? Good question. So I know. So I used to work for a large bank, and I worked in the equities markets, and we were largely more about splitting orders. So like if you wanted to buy a lot of a stock and that stock was listed on multiple exchanges, it would kind of look out there and be able to buy all of the contracts that were being offered at a certain price all at once. And we would calculate when to send them so that they would get to all of the different exchanges at the same time. That was the main purpose of that group, was to do that. That was basically the service that we provided. And then there was another group that was closely associated with us, but that I didn't work in, the strats, and they wrote, trading programs. And the one thing that I know about the strats is that they had a kind of like a base strategy, and it factored in like a ton of different things. I don't know how many different things that there were, but it was like 30 different things, so it was like 30 indicators, right? And then they would look at the market conditions that we were having at the time, and based on like what the business conditions were, they would modify the strategy to take advantage of that. So it wasn't like they had one strategy that you just turned on and you left it forever and it just did its thing forever and always made money. They had to change it like literally every 4 weeks. There was a major change in the algorithm or something like that. Always changing it. And remember, it was based on the business conditions that they were seeing. So like if they, we were processing a lot of big orders for people, then it took that into account, or, whatever the deal was. So that's kind of how I look at it. So and then we had clients that used us for the algorithmic trading, although at the time they were having a little bit of trouble with the speed of execution, and they were losing some of those clients. And I think that they eventually did fix that, but I don't really know where it went because I don't work there anymore. But a lot of these algorithms are like machine learning algorithms, and they're adjusting their algorithm on the fly based on what they're seeing, and like they're constantly backtesting the strategy to see if, there's a more optimal setup of some sort. So you have to be very careful about relying on the robots, because what the robots are doing, yeah, they make money, but what they're doing is very inconsistent. It changes. And you kind of got to catch the changes first of all. But really, I think what's better is to be ahead of the changes. That's why I like to use statistics that I've generated looking at time frames to see, okay, so there are business reasons that people want to buy towards the end of the month. There are business reasons that people want to sell going into treasury auctions and then buy, that sort of a thing. Did the algorithms were programmed into black boxes or without? I don't know how they tested it. Like as a black box or what. I think that they understood the components of the algorithm, and they decided certain things based on the market conditions, And then there was some machine learning stuff stacked on top of that. But I don't know all of the details about it. I just know, like the key takeaway from that is that the big these guys that are making money through algorithmic trading, like the big time market makers, they don't just have this one thing that just always does it a certain way. We think that that's what happens, but that's not the way that it works. The robots are always changing. And so your strategy, the way that you're trying to extract money out of the market has to change, right? Last week, we were getting some really strong trending, and there was some reason for the businesses to be moving interest rates because of the FOMC meeting and the economic data that was coming out. And so we had a reason to trade and have it move. And today, we really don't. Today, this move down that we got on very little volume, mind you, but there was a very strong trend. And very suspicious. Oh, wow, that's a really big order in the E-mini. That's interesting. Yeah, that is a big order down there. The thing is, well, so I don't know why my range in my ES chart is incorrect. See those white prices? Those are the ones that it says that we've traded today, and we've traded higher and lower than that today. Like I think that we traded all the way up to 27.10, so all the way up to here. But the market runs the same way 100 years ago in the same patterns. Do you think there's one dominant algorithm in the market? I don't know. I do think that the robots are going to have a tendency. They're going to have certain tendencies just because of the way that the market trades, Like when there's not very many contracts bid or offered at a certain place, somebody's always going to buy it because what that means is that supply is at that particular price is low. There's not a lot of supply at that particular price, and so people want to buy it before that price is gone. So you're always going to see, like we're seeing here at 25, you're always going to see people buy that. It might not hold. They might buy it up and then not see it go and then immediately sell 25 and get back out. But you're always going to see that. That's just the nature of, that's just because of the way that the rules are, But the thing that will change is, does the algorithm take that when we're moving up versus when we're moving down? Or how long is it going to wait and hold on to that? Those sorts of things. I think it's constantly changing and trying to optimize. And it'll do something like, they'll take that algorithm and all of the different things that can change with it and take, 1,000 permutations of it. And then out of those thousands of permutations that it made, it'll find the one that was the most profitable over the most recent time frame. And that's what it will start using. So you can end up with a situation where they know, well, okay, it's looking at the bids and offers and it's looking for an opportunity to buy. But when it actually does it and when it doesn't actually do it, the person that wrote it probably couldn't tell you. They don't understand why it does what it does. It's just because there was no underlying logic to it. It just ran a bunch of numbers until it found one that worked and selected that. And so it may just be random chance that it works as well as it does. So this bid in the E-mini, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's like too big. It's pretty big for the time frame. But we have seen the 2K before. Well, Ace Trades is taking it short. I wonder if there's really actually anything happening under the hood there or not, though, with that. It is a little unusual. Do you know big futures traders? I think that's what you meant to say, not big future trades. We have a couple of guys in here that are pretty good. We've had people in our chat come in and flash orders on the DOM for us so that we could see that how much size they were trading. But I wouldn't say that they're like ginormous. Like I'm not excuse me, I'm not talking to the guy that trades at the bank or for the Federal Reserve or the Chinese what do they call it? National Fund or whatever. Chaya says, I just started trading 2 years ago and have never traded futures but want to start and have no clue how to start. So first of all, if you want to talk to me, I'm totally willing to talk. I'm not always available to chat over voice, but you can send me private messages either through YouTube or in our Discord channel, which is linked in the video description. But then if you're brand new, I have a video on my channel called how to get started trading futures, and I would recommend you watch that because that video, I've got literally everything that you need to know to get started. Like you go in there and I talk about how to get the data, how to pick a broker and the software that you might want to use, and trading education. The place that I learned was No BS Day Trading, but I list a couple of different channels and stuff. Like there's some stuff on YouTube that is you can watch for free that would show you order flow. So you can go and watch all that stuff, and then you can come back to my channel and you can pick a day and say, okay.
Canada's Freeland is on the wires at the moment, not saying anything significant yet.
And then, you can pick a day and you can trade the order flow from that day from watching the video if you want, and you can learn that way. Best learning is by reading the CME order flow matching documentation, and the second is watching the DOM. Yeah, well, so what are some things that you learned from watching the reading the CME matching documentation? Because I have read through that, but at least for the 10-year instrument, I didn't really see anything too odd. But watching the CFTC website talking about what people get busted for is good. Yeah, who was saying that? Was it? I don't even. Yeah. Anyways, somebody else said that. I've been day trading Gap and goes and successful using level 2 as small cap, but futures seem so much more intimidating. Yeah, no. You guys can totally ask any questions, especially right now because I'm not. I'm not going to take a trade in this kind of action. I'm really kind of feel like I really feel like I got a really good trade, and that might be the best opportunity today. And I might not take any more trades. But yeah, you can ask any questions. Anyways, so you're saying futures are intimidating, but you gotta keep in mind one of the reasons that trading futures is advantageous for day trading is that it's so much easier to define your risk, right? Here in the 10-year, let's just say that I wanted to buy here, okay? I mean, it does look like there might be a long here, that it might come back and move up a little bit. And if we did move up a little bit, probably the first line of resistance, I think, is 26.5. Okay, so if I bought it here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm looking at a potential reward of 3. If I bought 25, I can say, hey, if it starts ticking into 24, then I'm wrong and I just get out. And there is so many contracts. I mean, there's 5,000 bid there. The chances are that if it even starts ticking into 24 again, that you will have the chance to click into it if you want it. If you have a volume stop in there, it would probably fill. And if it didn't, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to sell into 23.5, right? And then on the upside, it can get 27 to maybe even 20.5, right? And so you can very easily define your risk and say, I'm only willing to lose $31 on this one. And you can do that in futures. In stocks, it's hard because, you can get some gangbuster run and it can just go up and up and up and up. And you don't really have any leverage to take advantage of. So you just, what are you going to do? You have to put thousands of dollars into this stock. And if something happens, you're screwed. Yeah, I'll watch the video you recommended and circle back. Yeah, totally. And you come back and ask questions, and the Discord is a great resource too, right? Like if I'm not online, you can always go to the Discord and ask people questions, and I try to answer anything that I see in there. So how do I enable a volume stop? So in Jigsaw, I mean, it's going to be different in other platforms, and I don't know what other platforms have it, but I can say here, like for instance at 27, if I buy there, then you see how it says 1S means one stop, volume 489. So that means that if the offer goes below 489, then this will trigger. That's how that works. And I think if I go, oops, that was the wrong way. You go right here, then I can change it. What's the stop volume and all of these things, right? I can come in, and if I press this SL button here and put one in, now it's a 1SL, which means that if this offer gets below 400, 489.
Continues here, the German regulators announced the results of the Facebook probe on February the 7th.
Then it will trigger, but it will only trigger at 27. With the regular stop, it could trigger at 27.5, right? But this one, it'll become a limit order then at that point, and it'll stick there. Yep. And so that's how that works. With stocks, you're not tied to some high-level management person doing something dumb which will affect the stock price against trading futures. Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying futures have more of a tendency stocks have more of a tendency to run than a future does. you could have, like that AIG thing. If I was talking about a couple of days ago, like towards the beginning of the financial crisis, there was a day where Dizzle says agreed. I'm just saying you don't have the risk of being tied to a CEO sleeping with his secretary, etc. Although that stock is weighted to the index. Right. Yeah, so there was one day where AIG reported earnings, and it turned out that AIG was actually still a profitable company. And everybody hated, because they were at the center of the financial crisis. And so that stock like doubled or tripled overnight or whatever the deal was. And if you were a short, you lost everything. There was people short. I remember on Twitter, people short and their accounts got blown out.
Seeing a piece in the Telegraph here saying Brussels ready to reopen the Brexit treaty, but won't make changes to the Irish border backstop. That released about 5 minutes ago. Retweeted that.
So then you got all the day traders are trading it on momentum, and at one point they're going to sell it, and so you get this colossal run that retraces almost 50%, right? So if you're long there, then you potentially lose half of your money, and because you don't have leverage, here I can use the leverage, and like the way that it is put is like, okay, in order for me to trade this one contract, I need to have, overnight margin and day trade margin is different, but let's go with overnight margin, okay? Overnight margin, you have to have I think it's like $2,500 in margin to keep it overnight. And what they're saying is that the most that it's ever moved, not ever moved, but it's a third standard deviation. So like the most that it ever tends to move is that on one contract you could lose $2,500, right? So if you have a $10,000 account, you don't have to put that whole thing at risk to hold the instrument, right? But you can still make just as much as you would in the stock. That's the beauty of leverage, right? It's kind of like, yeah, leverage can allow you to make a more risky trade, but the leverage also allows you to define your risk better. And so it's not as dangerous of a trade. Yes, small cap don't have large enough float for instruments to trade, but I lost 50,000 when my internet went out. Oh, wow. Dude, that sucks. Yeah. I don't know. So like, here's the other thing with stocks. And the main thing that I don't like to trade stocks is that the guy that you're trading against in stocks is really fucking good. like don't get me wrong, the guys that trade the 10-year are good at this. There are some really smart market makers. Here comes the E-mini open, by the way. So Treasuries did slowly move down all the way into the equity open, and now we'll see what happens. Are they going to go for this gigantic order here at 270250? This is going to be interesting. I think that they probably will sell through there and fill the order, and then we'll see what happens. Anyways, the specialists. So like when you're watching CNBC and there's these different trading posts with different stocks, and there's a guy sitting inside that trading post with a bunch of computers and stuff, and that guy, that's the specialist. He's really good. And he has so much data that you don't have that it's really just not fair to be trading against him. It just isn't. So I that's why I don't really recommend day trading stocks. I think that swinging stocks can really work, but day trading I'm not so into. When you're trading futures, you're trading more macroeconomic factors, and so you have a little bit more of a chance to be able to see what's going on there and make an informed decision. So there they are, they're trading into it. They traded all 2,500. very aggressive when it did, but now it's traded through it and it's coming back up. We are at the lows. It does look like they're going to take a new low in ZN. Yeah. So, yeah. But it's still very slow. It's still hard to say if it's gonna stay here or not. They are above the price that they sold. By the way, I know that Ace took his trade at 27.04. So did you take a profit yet, or take it off, or are you still in it? Okay, how is the Euro USD price calculated? Does the market move then only to bid and ask in the futures market? Okay, so good question. So there is a 6J future, and it works exactly the same way that any of these other futures do. So if at 24 even there's 337 contracts being offered. And if somebody buys all of those contracts like they did just now, then any other future market buys become limit orders. Or sorry, not any future, but any future market buys then have to go into 24 half. And then they start stacking up there. And price moves up. And it's the same way in the currency future. But the difference with the currency future is that the currency future is not in charge. They are not in charge. And really what they're doing is they're looking at the spot FX price that the banks trade between each other. And they're kind of going off of that. That's why you could see something in the FX futures where the cumulative delta, by the way, I need to fix my cumulative delta here. I don't know what causes that, but you could see a situation where they've been buying the whole time and it moves down. Actually, they're kind of doing that right now, but that is extremely common in the FX futures, and it's very, very unlikely that happens in the Treasury market, right? So they are kind of trading based on what the banks are doing. So I think it's, you could trade it, but the order flow is not as reliable. Does that make sense? Okay, so Ace says he took the first profit at a point, held on through the opening to get 2 points on the rest of the contracts. Okay, so we got it. Good job. That one would stress me out just because of that big order, but it went through it. Good chunk of that bid got filled on ES. Yeah. Okay, now we're moving up. Ooh, and they tried to trade into 23 half, and there was some iceberging there, so there does appear to be some people. There does appear to be some interest in the 10-year and pushing it down further. And there's enough volume that bought down there in that area that we could totally do it. We'll see what happens. This is super hard for me to take or trade, but they may go lower. Guess it depends on what the ES does. The ES pushed there at the top of that range, and then They fell back down. So they're still stuck. I thought that they were just going to bust up and make a push to 2710. But I guess they're not ready for that yet. I think there was there another question over here that I missed maybe? Let me look here. Or can the price change without volume because of the calculation of the price? Oh. Well, so here's one thing that can happen, Big Toasty, is, there could be 2,000 being offered at 24, and say that's just all one guy and he pulls it up, Then if you wanted to buy, you would have to buy 24 half. And in some instruments, okay, they're selling the E-mini now. My, oh my. Pretty strongly, in fact. Anyways, that could pull. And so in some instruments, you could have a spread between the two of, 5 to 10 ticks, and so the bids and offers pulling does kind of influence the price, and you can get that sort of a thing. I wouldn't recommend trading that kind of a product unless you really, really understood the product. If you just know a ton of things about the Japanese yen and, you speak Japanese and you're up on all the Japanese news and, just, everything about it and you got all the rumors that might affect it, then it can be a really good trade for you. And I think that it's better to trade the futures FX than it is the spot FX. But personally, if I was going to trade futures, I would recommend either doing one of the treasuries, so ZB or ZN, the 30 and the 10 year, or the E-mini, which is what most people do. The E-mini is by far the most common. Come on, drop waffles are calling. It did drop there pretty good. I think they might have a little bit more left in. That wasn't the overnight low, was it? Yeah, no, it was not. It was close though. Can you see 06? 145.06? I see an order at 05. Oh, he got back in again. I could see why you might want that though. I don't know. This action seems a little flaky to me. I mean, this is just why I don't really know what it's going to do. Thought that was a good call on it selling. I definitely had a good call on the larger action for the day in CN, but I definitely had no clue that it was going to move down this much. And now that we're into the open and we've pretty much for the first hour just done nothing but move down. First hour and a half really. Done nothing but move down. I don't know where it's going to stop and reverse or what. And the volume has been pretty light in treasuries. So I don't know what's going to happen. How do you manage your risk? So the question is, when I'm looking at something, whether you have an indicator like a moving average or RSI or whatever, always look into what about that can I use to manage my risk? I know that the low is 23 And I also know that the last significant move up was 25.5 right here. Oops. It's not going to do that one because it's I have that. So this right here. You know? So I could say if I wanted to buy it at 25, 23.5, you know? I think that that is like a good reward spot, potentially, because it's, you know, it's 3 ticks away. And I always want to try and get at least 3 ticks. And then I know on the downside, you know, if they tick into a new low, then I'm probably wrong. You know? And then I use a volume stop so that I'm less likely for it to trigger just from an order going into it. You know? Or vice versa on the other side, if I'm expecting a new low and then we tick into 25.5, 26, then I know that I was wrong, at least in my particular time frame, and that they're not going to go for more. That's a strong offer. Okay. So this is part of why I'm not taking any more trades here, because although I do prefer short, and I like that I'm seeing that big offer there, 24, I would have to risk 3 ticks in order to take it. And how far are we going to go down? Like, the reward to me is unknowable beyond, well, there's 22 and 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we got to 21, then maybe I could take it. But I would rather be only risking like 1 or 2 ticks. So then you just don't take it, right? But you can do the same sort of a thing with your, you know, with your indicators. You can say, well, here's the moving average that I'm following, and if, you know, price would need to go to here in order for that, that indicator for it to flip, and so that's where my risk is at. You know, you can do that sort of a thing.
A bit of Brexit news now. Sun with an exclusive here that HRMC has decided to wave EU goods through in a no deal as to keep trade moving. No checks at the 20 ports. That will be lasting for a temporary period.
So that offer at 24 is pretty aggressive. That's pretty aggressive. So I was saying, if the context of the day was different, you could potentially take that short. Like, selling into the low of the day is kind of sketch, but, like, you know, there is a reasonable probability that there's going to be an iceberg here at 23.5, and then they hit 23 and create a stop run going down to 22. Are the fees not too high when you take so little? Then at least 1 tick plus to get the fees in, then you have to trade very well. So it depends on the instrument that you're trading. But for the treasuries here, it's something like $2.50 round turn. So like, for every 10 trades or so, you have to make at least 1 tick to pay for the commissions. Yeah. Now it adds up. It definitely adds up, don't get me wrong. But the fees are actually pretty good in futures, especially if you trade CB. The tick to commission ratio is just crazy, because it's the same fee basically. It's like $2.50, but you make $31 on every uptick. So yeah, your tick to commission ratio is best in ZB. Now, some of the other ones, like say oil, are so much. Yeah, $2.50. I don't know what exactly it is in oil, but it's a lot more. It's a lot more. So much so that you have to make more than just a tick in oil to pay the cost of the trade. You know? So this one right here, the 10-year is about $15.25. $15 per tick. This one is 31, and this one is like half that, so it's like 7.25. Or this one, this is where the commissions would start to eat you up. So usually only larger traders trade the 5-year, but the E-mini is a little bit more expensive. But I think you still are profitable after one tick. It's a little bit more though. Yeah, it's cheap. I mean, it's really cheap compared to equities, right? Because in equities, you're like, you're charged a commission on how many shares you traded. And so it can be, a couple $20 or whatever it is, depending on how big your account is. Yeah. I mean, not only that, but in the futures, there's like some tax loopholes too. So not all of your income from the short-term trades are treated as regular income. So there's a lot of advantages to trading futures. ZB still looks super negative to me. ZB looks much, much more bearish than the other treasuries. And the E-mini is pushing at the highs. I'm hoping that Ace got out of there. Well, not hoping, I mean, I'm sure he did, but I hope that he got out of there without losing anything. We're rooting for you, buddy. It is starting to look somewhat likely that they trade into the 22. Or you're saying you could maybe sell 23.5, was it? What was the price? 24 was where the big offer came from. So yeah, you could have sold 23. But it's not there anymore, is it? Yeah, it keeps going. I think that there's at least 27.10. Or close to it. That was the overnight high. You can see even the E-mini here is not moving a ton, is it? It's still pretty slow and steady too. So what's your edge in trading? Good question. So I think for us in futures, kind of like the real edge that you have over other people.
A bit of US data, starting with factory orders for November, 0.3% expected against a prior of -2.1%, as range of -1.2% to 1%. On the ex-transportation number, it's a prior of 0.3%. Also beginning the US durable goods orders for November, the final reading expected at 1.5% against prior of 0.8%. The ex-transportation of flat reading expected against prior of -0.3%. Well, on the cap goods orders non-defense XR, -0.1% expected against prior of -0.6%. On the cap goods ship non-defense XR, that's a flat reading expected against prior of -0.1%.
So I think that there's two major ways in which, for us scalping, that you gain edge. The first is that because you're so small, you can get in and out wherever you want. Because some of the people that are trading these are trading tens of thousands of contracts, and they can't just get all in and all out at one price. You can, and that is an edge, right? You can get in and out almost any time that you want to. And that one tick or whatever, it matters. It makes a big difference, right? And then the second edge, I think, is knowing the product. So, I sit and watch the DOM. I have a pretty good idea of how it tends to trade just based on the level 2 and the volume that's going through. I have a pretty good idea of how that changes and what's been a big deal and what hasn't, whatever. But I also have a good idea of, when we have this news, what does it tend to do? When we have this news, or if it's at this time of year or this time of month or this day of the week, what does it tend to do? And those are all things that I would go and do some statistical analysis of if you can. But, one that I'll share with you is that Mondays tend to be quieter. So I knew going into today that even though we had a pretty big reversal day in Treasuries on Friday, here, I'll show you here. We had been buying all week, and then Friday, boom, really came down. Okay, so we've had a major reversal in Treasuries, and here you can see it even more clearly that we're getting a spike, and so there's a pretty good chance that we sell for quite some time, right? So I know that we're in a downtrend and that there's going to be selling, but then I also know that it's Monday. So that's why my first trade was when it came up here to 29 and I saw there wasn't very much interest in trading it. I got filled, and then I took a short profit because I knew that today would be a relatively range bound. Now, of course, I was wrong because it did move quite a bit, didn't it? If I had held that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24 ticks. So that would be almost $350. $360. Yeah. Well, and when I took that off, I'm like, I know I'm going to I might kick myself if this continues through, but it's being so slow and there's so little volume, I should really be grateful and take the 4 ticks, and I did. Well, you know what they say, hunks get slaughtered. They are coming down more towards like the big buy orders now, and you're seeing a big buy order showing up in the 5-year. Big size at 05 all morning. That didn't sound good. I think he's okay, but man, that didn't sound good. Did you hear that? So I don't know if here's again, we've had pretty good downtrend and they've pushed through a lot of levels, but I don't know if it's going to stop or not. I can't say. It's too difficult. Like if I'm going to take a trade at the low of the day, I need to see something that I know has a high probability of continuing. Like, they make a really strong move up and it almost just as sudden just stops and flips around, then that's, one where you might know, okay, yeah. They really just don't want to buy in, so we might have to move up. I don't know if I could say that that's what happened at 24.5. It was really slow there. I would love to take another trade. I mean, I usually tend to catch a good one at 8, between 8 and 8:30, but yep. The thing with this type of action where I can see the pressure's down, it is really hard for me to jump in and take the short and wait 10 minutes to get paid. Yeah. Yeah, and especially when you know that, if it reverses, if you get a reversal on you, you're potentially liable for 12 ticks. Of course, you take it off before that, but, you know, it becomes much harder to define your risk on the other side at that point. Although you could use the 24.5 as your risk point, but we're really far away from that as well. And your next target below us is 22. You know, you could buy it here. You could buy it at 22.5 and say that we're not going to tick 21.5, and I'll take my profit at 24.5. I mean, that's kind of what's going through my head at the moment. But given that degree of trend and the fact that it's against the longer term,
minutes now until we get the US factory orders for November. Again, that's expected at 0.3% against prior of minus 2.1%, and as well the final reading for durable goods order for November, 1.5% expected.
It's against the longer term trend, and it's also against the monthly cycles and all of that. And so taking along here just doesn't make sense in my strategy. And look, they're still offering at 23. Just get in. The economy can use your money more efficiently than you can. I mean, that's when you lose, that's what it means, right? It means that in that moment that you weren't using your capital very efficiently, and so it went to somebody else so that they can try and use it more efficiently. That's what it means. That's how I think you have to look at it. That's why it bothers me so much when I'm seeing all of this talk about taxes, right? Not that I'm like against taxing the rich per se, you know, like you need to tax people, of course. You need to have a certain amount of government income. And it is better for it to be a progressive tax, at least from the studies that I've read. Of course, but there's always a point at which it's too much. But that doesn't bother me so much as it is what they want to do with it, because they want to have the Green New Deal. And my whole take of it is like, okay, if
1 minute.
You know, green energy really is the way to go, then why don't you use your own money? You know? Because at some point, maybe not today, maybe not 5 years or 10 years, but at some point, that green energy is going to develop to the point at which it is cheaper and more environmentally friendly than some of the alternatives, and is going to move up, and anybody that invested in it is going to profit from it. You know? So if the politicians think that we need to invest in green energy, they should put their money where their mouth is, and they should invest it in it themselves instead of using our money to do it.
10 seconds.
That's just my opinion, but, you know, if it was that great of an investment, then
minus
the market would be showing us
orders,
that.
minus 0.6%. Durable goods orders at 0.7%. So as the US factory orders at minus 0.6%, well below expected 0.3%. The transportation at minus 1.3%. The durable goods orders again at 0.7%, below expected 1.5%. The ex-defense coming in at minus 0.1%. On the cap goods ordered non-defense ex-air was at minus 0.6%, while the cap goods shipped non-defense ex-air at minus 0.2%.
There we go. Okay. My alarm went off because I set one for the weekend, and I forgot to make it a weekend-only alarm. Besides, if I grow nervous, if I am exposed to the markets for a long period of time, yes.
To see revisions as well on the factory orders for ex-transportation, power revised to 0.2% against the prior of 0.3%.
But look, the trade that we were theorizing about that made sense from a risk-reward perspective appears to be playing out. I forget the exact prices that we said, but I think we said you could buy 22 half on the theory that it's not going to tick into 21 half, and you would be up 2 ticks and you could potentially get 3 or 4. And like I said, because today is a Monday, I'm still on the conservative side, so 3 ticks probably.
That's a bit of commodity news now. Comments out of Malta's foreign minister speaking on Venezuela, saying the EU is not considering oil embargo, but it is studying further sanctions. These possible sanctions would involve asset freezing and travel bans on more Venezuelan officials.
You know, when it happened, I didn't really see the flesh, but now that it's going, you can definitely see that they did not like that news. Factory orders month over month were negative 0.6 versus an expected 0.3. I see. So that is pretty bad. So now that we have news out of the way, that kind of changes my view a little bit, though. Because although all of the seasonality and everything like that says down, now the fundamental economic indicators are saying up. Let's see where the E-mini goes from here. They definitely bought it in the 5-year. That almost completely retraced like that whole thing. Yeah. In fact, I think you could put something like in like, oh, maybe not. They took it down. So I think if we get down here, I want to try and maybe here. See, the E-mini is recovering and moving up. It's creating a little bit of pressure here, but they're not trading it. This is a weak offer, and they're buying into it, but it's iceberging. 2,000. Okay. So they decided to buy it there. And you're getting a good bid that's holding again. And you're getting a pretty big iceberg in the 5-year as well. There was a 7K traded there. Interesting.
Comments now from Russian Energy Minister Novak. Russia is fully complying with the OPEC deal conditions.
So E-mini came back there a little bit, but they did not make it very far. In fact, they came just back up to 2,700 and stopped. Now they're buying 24.
It's more from Novak saying that Russia's January oil output was down versus October by 47,000 barrels per day.
So I would like to buy it in here, but it's showing me some disorganized action, which makes it hard for me to call where it's safe for me to buy. You're really anxious about it. I guess you could buy 24, but I'm in no huge rush to buy something. You know what? Now that it is past 8, let's put up the video. Or let's look at the video. So now it should be on there. Should be. It better be. Yes, there it is right there. And I'm going to post it in here too. Okay, and I think I'm also going to, there was one other place I wanted to put it. Where is it? Yes, right here. Okay.
Is Novak continuing that Russia is committed to reaching output cut target by May?
What is that video rated? It is PG. It is PG. You're totally, there's nothing, you know, there's maybe some adult humor in there, but my kids listened as we were editing it. There's nothing bad in
Does
it.
Novak continue that Russia is committed to reaching the output cut target by May?
Okay, so here is showing me exactly why we didn't want to take a trade in that area. There should be some nudity. You need to spice it up. Good grief, dude. Well, I mean, I do have a couple of pictures of some decent looking girls in there, so, you know. I figure, like, you know, so I was looking through my stats yesterday. And you know, and it's a little bit scary what the things that YouTube tracks, but YouTube has an idea of how old the audience is. So for instance, there are more people in my audience that are over the age of 30 than there are below the age of 30, for instance. But it also tries to determine if they're male or female. And now when I was looking at the stats for just the most recent month, no girls. Absolutely no girls.
Oil output from Russia for January fell by 100,000 barrels per day compared to December.
So I'm just saying, I understand my audience. That's all. So there's girls in the video.
UK government issuing a new no deal advance.
I mean, I don't know if 23 is the spot or not, but it's looking okay. I think I'm just gonna have to put it in there and see what happens. The girl trading world is pretty thin. I know, which is really unfortunate because let me gather my thoughts. How do I say this? Well, no, I just say what I was thinking before. It's really unfortunate because in many respects, especially when it comes to scalping, women are better at it. Women have a different approach to risk that can make them more consistent traders. My wife would probably be a better trader than me if she had the time to do it. Okay, so we're putting this here. Think of all those housewives that could be making a couple $100 a day first thing in the morning. Exactly. Well, okay, so I was already wrong.
A piece reported on in the Sun again that the UK is to wave through most EU goods at ports in the event of no deal, as is supported there by UK new government new deal advice.
Already wrong about the spot. It's okay, I'm willing to risk that, but, you know, I would have preferred that downtick didn't happen. Yeah, I think that it's just the thing about, I mean, when it comes to taking risk, hormones are very much in play there, aren't they? Guys have testosterone, and testosterone makes you take on more risk. That's why a lot of us guys, problem that I tend to have, you get a winner and you want to hold on to it. That's something that guys are good at, is knowing when they have a good one and pushing it, which you really do need to have in order to be a really good trader. Yeah, this is bad. This was wrong. So I'm gonna see if I can okay. So they made a new low there, but only 332 traded into it, and they're already trading back up. That is interesting. And the E-mini appears to be turning around. Ooh. Tough call. I think that I need to, get out at the -2. Okay. Fine. Let's see what it does. Looks like that the E-mini might want more, so. Really should have been thinking about taking a short up there at 24. Because they took that new low really easily. Why is there still a 7K order on my DOM at 21? And somebody thinks they're going to get filled there, I guess. That's the thing about the big orders, is it doesn't... I mean, it means something, it kind of tells you something, but it's, kind of tells you something when something else happens later on. Yes. So I was saying, we've had this discussion on the stream before. I think it was before Ace was here though, but we've talked about this before, and people really enjoyed it when we talked about it before. So I was like, I need to just make it into a really nice video. Ron says, I can't understand the middle column on your DOM. Okay. This is a good question, because it is a little bit confusing. Okay. So the middle column are market orders. Middle column are market orders. And if we tick up and then we tick back down and it's been longer than 1 second, then that cell resets. So those are the two rules, right? So what it means is they're at 22 and I see 1203. That means that it took 1203 for them to buy it up and tick it up. So they bought 1203 and then they bid 2,000 on 22. And then since then, 290 have sold into the 22, but they're still bid. That's what it means. $21, 26.5. So, I don't know. I still kind of feel like buying it, but they're not. It's tough to do when it's doing that, right? I think what you're getting though is that the E-mini really didn't like that news, and now they're coming all the way back up. The buying has actually been stronger than the selling from the news. Yeah, I gotta take that. Okay, he says he understands now. Cool. Yeah. Now, you can change the amount of time that it takes for it to reset. So like John Grady says that he likes to have it for 10 seconds. Instead of, for me, it's like 1.5 seconds. 1.5 seconds or something like that. But yeah, I like it that way because then every time that it ticks up, I can see how much they're sticking on it each time, which I've noticed matters. You know, if it's only taking 500 to tick up at each time, then it doesn't, it doesn't mean the same thing as if there was like 2000. Like if there was 2000, that means somebody really did decide that they were going to sell it there. Versus if it's only like 500, then everybody that was in the queue was really just robots and they were pulling anytime that there's a chance of them getting executed. But UDOM shows specific numbers like that, 7K. Where do you see 7K? Are you talking about, well, I don't see, there's that big order down there in the 5-year. Still need to keep an eye on. They might try and push down towards it. Here we're seeing the 3,000. That's the thing that I'm noticing. And catch and see if they hold this level or not. So the E-mini came up to this spot and now they're having a little bit of trouble. In fact, if it pulls, I want to take it. At the moment, I can kind of see the possibility of it. Like the momentum definitely stopped, but they're not flipping it yet. That 22 half is going to have to pull. That 12 quarter in the 5-year, they're going to have to tick through it. Okay. Good. Good. Very good. Okay, so now we gotta be careful because there's a pretty big order at 23 here. There was iceberging there. Above the TB in the left column in ZN. I read that is above the TB. I read that is right here. You're talking about there? Or are you talking about, oh, this right here, that? Okay, those are just notes that I put in. Those are notes that I put in. So what that means is, or why I put that in there was because when we were here at this spot last Tuesday or whatever it is, there was a 7K iceberg there. I don't remember if it was a bid or offer, but there was 7K traded at that specific price on that day. So especially if we come back up, especially now that that price is the VWAP, you definitely got to be thinking about taking a profit at 26.5 because it's a significant price apparently. That makes sense. That's what that's about. This column is just notes. Like the far left column on all of these are my notes. Just for me to remember. Like these eyes just mean that it's traded around that a lot before in the past. That's all that means. Well, there's a significant amount of iceberging at 22.5. Wow. Okay, so they bought through it and it still went offer. Where is your level 2? So the blue and red columns are the level 2. They're ticking up and it's still not holding. I don't know, guys. I mean, it looks like it's going to flip down, though. I think that it's probably going to break. I think my probability is good enough here. But the iceberg is making me question it. I don't like that. There was a little bit of a spike up there in the evening. That's what caused that. Okay, so they sold through that 22. All right, tick back up. Likes the thick brunettes, yep. Okay. Getting a little bit trading into 23 there now. And that was the price that we had a hard time getting through, so that's good. Oh, why do you not use the stacked in and pulled out order column? Good question. I used to. I think I would prefer to have it. But there just wasn't enough room on my screen, so I didn't put it on there. The thing that I realized is that I'm able to tell fairly well where they're stacking and pulling, and this red thing right here tells me that too. So I felt like it wasn't necessary, but you know, part of it is that I need to have the numbers really big so that it's easy for us to read the numbers when we're rewatching the video or whatever, you know. So, you know, if you have room, you know, and you can make the numbers small enough on your DOM and you can still see them and you can fit all that in there, then I would totally do it. Because I think that that's a really useful column. And I would put, there's a property in there for you to filter out the changes. So I would filter out the changes so that it only changes if, like in ZN, if it changes by 100, you know, minimum change of 100 before it shows you something on that column. I found that to be a little bit more useful. Yeah. Okay, so there's the E-minis selling a little bit more now, but we're having a hard time still getting it to buy into 23. There was a lot here offered at 23 that is pulled though, so I would say that that is a little bit bullish. This column right here in ZN does not work anymore, and I think that it's because of the adding so many levels onto it. It's the flip. I don't know. That annoys me. It annoys me that it's not telling me. The 5-year though, look at the 5-year. The 5-year looks bullish. And there's the E-mini selling a little bit more, but there was a little bit of a slip there and it came back. So that might be done. We might have to just get the one tick that we got. Okay. It's disappointing. No, this is not a spot that I want to be. So now it's turning into 8:30, and from 8:30 to 9 can be really sucky, but so I think I'm just gonna hold off. I wish that one at 23 had not happened, but you know, whatever. Thing is if I had not taken that, if I had not bailed on that, you know, I would still be sitting here waiting for break even. So I think that just bailing there was a good thing, and I was able to make one tick back. Okay, good deal. Well, and I've got red. I just closed. I just muted that so I could type. I'm going to post the cryptocurrency notes. So, if you have any other questions, put them in now, and of course, like watch the video. So we still got 30 minutes on that video. So yeah, I'm gonna mute this and be back in about 5 minutes.
So Reuters citing a government source here, the Italy's Treasury does not plan to negotiate with the EU extension of the GIC's state guarantee scheme. It's unlikely to pay loans.
Okay. Let's see here. Do you trade binary options? No. You know what? Options really interest me, for sure. But, and if I had a lot more disposable income to mess around with, then maybe I would play options later in the day. But as it is right now, I'm just focused on futures. So just ZN, like this is the only one. Everything else that I'm looking at is just so that I can trade this. Well, they're still holding the 22. I'd have to say that the momentum to the down has definitely slowed down. I don't know if they're going to be able to make much more of a sustained push up, but yeah, this is definitely a temporary spot. But that 24 is not, should not have provided as strong of a resistance as it did. And I'm lucky to have gotten away with what I did. All right, let's see, where is this at now? I refresh this. So when you, oh, good deal. So got a good number of views there at the beginning. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, looks like most of you did go and watch it, which is good. For the video. So yeah. I don't know what else to say here. It's a Monday. It's Monday. What else can you do? Yeah. Monday is my least favorite day. Like, if I can come out with 3 ticks on a Monday, I'm okay with that. Really. Okay, yeah. So yeah, if you guys have anything further, go to the Discord chat and put the questions in there. And you know, there's tons of good traders that I think are better than me. So check it out. And hopefully I see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.